Good day, everyone. Today we would like to tell you a bit more about volcanoes, deformation, and earthquakes that happens at the lithosphere. But before that, let's find it out first. What are our learning objectives for today's discussion? What is volcano and how they form? What are volcanoes' different parts? What types of deformation that cause earthquake? How does crustal deformation occur? What is an earthquake and what happens to the lithosphere during an earthquake? Well, this is our output, our three-dimensional volcano. What is volcano? The name volcano comes from the word Vulcan, which means the Roman god of fire. A volcano is a rupture in the crust of a planetary mass object, such as Earth, that allows hot lava, volcanic ash, and gases to escape from a magma chamber below the surface. On the land, volcanoes form with one tectonic plate, moves under another. Usually a thin, heavy oceanic plate subducts or moves under a thicker continental plate. When this happens, the ocean plate sinks into the mantle. The Earth's surface is made up of several tectonic plates, which are constantly moving, although it is very slowly. Where tectonic plates are being pushed together, some of the Earth's crust is pushed deeper into the Earth's mantle, where it melts and rises to the surface again to form volcanoes. A large area where this occurs on Earth is called the Pacific Ring of Fire. Where tectonic plates are being pushed apart, opening the Earth's crust allows molten rock to escape, forming volcanoes. An area where this occurs on Earth is called the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Volcanoes are made of unique rocks called extrusive igneous rocks. Magma may behave in several different ways once it reaches the Earth's surface. The pyroclastic eruptions throw bits of lava, volcanic ash, and other particles into the atmosphere. During less explosive eruptions, lava issues from a vent and flows onto the surface. There are four common types of volcanoes that are shaped like hills and mountains, like the cinder cones, shield volcanoes, the composite volcanoes, and the volcanic domes. Well, volcanic eruptions are the main cause of the earthquakes.
What are the different parts of volcano? Crater. It is found the top of the volcano. Craters are usually formed during the explosive eruption. It is where the lava and ashes came out. It means the crater
Like the
is
cinder
seen
cones,
right at
shield
the top
volcanoes,
of the
the
volcano
composite
and
volcanoes,
is said
and the
to be the
volcanic domes.
Mount Vent.
Well, volcanic
It
eruptions
is a
are
point
the main
in the
cause
Earth's
of
crust
the earthquakes.
when hot magma has been able to rise from the magma, lava, and magma. Both are described as molten rocks need depending on their location. It is called a magma when it's still inside the volcano, and the lava is when it is reaches the surface of the earth, the magma chamber. It is a large underground pool of molten rocks sitting underneath the earth's crust. Ash. It is a mixture of rock, minerals, and glass particles expelled during volcanic eruption. The particles are very small, which is less than 2 millimeters in diameter.
What types of deformation causes earthquake? Deformation is caused by stress, the scientific term for force applied to a certain area. Stresses on rocks can stem from various sources, such as changes in temperature or moisture, shift in the Earth's plates, sediments, or even gravity. The types of deformation that can cause earthquake is crustal deformation. How does crustal deformation occur? Crustal deformations refers to the changing Earth's surface caused by tectonic force that are accumulated in the crust and then cause earthquakes. So understanding the details of deformation and its effect on faults is important for figuring out which faults are most likely to produce the next earthquake. The offsets across a fault during the earthquake, rapidly decaying motion that persists weeks to years after a large earthquake, arising from a combination of continued split on the fault and possibly extension into the lower crust, and flow of rock into the deeper lower crust and mantle where temperature is high enough to permit ductile flow.
Our planet Earth, although the Earth looks like a pretty solid place from the surface, it's actually extremely active just below the surface. The Earth is made of 4 basic layers: a solid crust, a hot, nearly solid mantle, liquid outer core, and a solid inner core. The solid crust and top, stiff layer of the mantle make up a region called the lithosphere. The lithosphere isn't a continuous piece that wraps around the whole Earth like an eggshell. It's actually made up of giant puzzle pieces called tectonic plates. Tectonic plates are constantly shifting as they drift around on the viscous, or slowly flowing, mantle layer below. This non-stop movement causes stress on Earth's crust. When the stresses get too large, it leads to cracks called faults. When tectonic plates move, it also causes movements at the faults. An earthquake is the sudden movement of Earth's crust at a fault line.
What is an earthquake? An earthquake is an intense shaking of Earth's surface. The shaking is caused by movements in Earth's outermost layer. An earthquake occurs when an energy stored in rocks is suddenly released, typically in seconds. Most earthquakes are produced when stress builds up along fault over a long time, eventually causing the fault to slip. Similar kinds of energy are released at volcanic eruptions, explosions, and even meteorite impacts. Most earthquakes are generated by movements along faults. When blocks on opposite sides of a fault slip past one another, abruptly, the movement generates seismic waves while materials near the fault are pushed and shred. What happens to the lithosphere during an earthquake? The lithosphere is always moving but very slowly. When an earthquake occurs, the lithosphere becomes shaky and the earthquake creates ground rupture, landslides, avalanches, fire, forest destruction, and severe building damage. Lithosphere responds to the large stresses or force per unit area, as if it is where a very stiff spring or elastic. If the stresses get too large, the lithosphere breaks or brittle. Earthquakes are the brittle breaking of the lithosphere.